Hey guys, welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to talk about in detail how much pilots make. If you're new to the industry and you just got your commercial pilot's license, you're wondering, what am I going to make at my first job as a pilot? If you're a flight instructor, banner tower, skydive pilot, aerial photography, you're typically going to start at about $20,000 a year, and on the top end see about $40,000 a year. I know that's not a lot of money. It's a stepping stone job. The good news is most people don't really stick around for very long, a year, 2 years max. Your second job is typically around 1,500 hours is where you move into the regional jet job or a corporate pilot job. Those typically start at around $50,000 to $60,000 a year, and they top out at about $100,000 to $120,000 a year for those two jobs. So in this video, I'm going to focus on where you're going to spend the bulk of your career. So let's say you've trained a couple of years and flight instructed, and then you go to the regionals. That's probably going to add up to about 5 years. Well, if you're a young guy or young girl and you get into the industry, you're probably going to get into the majors and still have about 25 to 30 years of your career left. That's where I'm going to go into detail and talk about pay. So let's talk about pay at the major airlines. I've got a paper here. I've got the pay rates for United. United Airlines top end pay, so that's 12th year at United, flying 767 or 787, $352 per hour. Now, what does that mean? Does that mean you as a passenger, if you're getting on a United jet and the doors open, they're still boarding, is the pilot getting paid $352 an hour? No. Pilots are not getting paid while the engines are off and the plane's at the gate. If you see the pilot walking around outside doing their pre-flight inspection, they are not getting paid their $352 an hour. Pay for pilots start when the main cabin door is closed and the parking brake has dropped. They're getting paid their hourly pay rate during that time all the way until they get to their destination and the parking brake has been pulled and the main cabin door is now open. So theoretically, let's talk about this. If you're making $352 an hour and you only get paid when the doors close and you're flying, a typical pilot at United's getting paid about 90 hours a month. So at about 90 hours a month, you're looking at about $30,000 a month worth of income, $360,000 a year. Don't forget that there's 401k retirement plans at these airlines set up. So like at United, they've got a 16% 401k contribution for you as the pilot. Whether or not you contribute a dollar into your 401k account, United is going to put in 16% of your pay into a retirement account for you, waiting for you when you retire. That adds up to quite a few $1,000,000 at the end of your career. Some other factors to consider is per diem. So like your per diem is a non-taxable income. It's meant to cover expenses during your trip. So for example, they'll pay you an average of $3 an hour from the time you get to the airport, check into the airplane, take off, go fly to the destination, land, go to the hotel, sleep for 8 hours, wake up the next day, go get some coffee, report back to work, go back to the airport wherever you're at, fly back to the airport you started at. That $3 an hour does not stop the entire time from when you get to the airport until you check out 3 or 4 days later and go home. So on any given month, usually we call the per diem what's called time away from base. 300 to 400 hours a month time away from base at $3 an hour. So you're looking at about $1,000 to $1,200 a month of non-taxable income there. So about $10,000 to $12,000 a year of non-taxable income. All right, so I just got done talking about pay with like United Airlines. Now let's talk about cargo. So for example, UPS and FedEx are the two big cargo companies. FedEx, for example, starting pay for a first officer at FedEx is $84 an hour your first year. Second year, it bumps up to $190 an hour. A typical first officer at FedEx that's been there a few years can expect to make in excess of a couple $100,000 a year when you factor in all your pay, per diem, and overtime, picking up some overtime trips. Captain pay at FedEx right here. So 777, the Boeing 777, $335 an hour. I would like to mention the upgrade time at FedEx or these legacy airlines. So what is upgrade time? When you get hired as a first officer, you get what's called a seniority date, a date of hire. And everyone hired before you or after you have a seniority number. Well, when, let's say you want to become a captain, you have to wait until your seniority number is called up. And when it is, you can say, yes, I want to become a captain, or no, I want to stay as a first officer. The amount of time it takes for waiting for that captain upgrade is talked about in the industry. Right now, the major airlines like Delta and United, they're taking about anywhere from 6 months to a year, which is, it's crazy. It's unheard of. It's never been like that. FedEx, right now, it's about a 3-year upgrade. That's pretty good, meaning you get on with FedEx, you get on with United, you'll probably make a couple $100,000 a year within a few years. And then within 3 to 4 years, provided everything still stays the same and you upgrade to captain, not too bad. You're making over $300,000 a year. It's pretty good. So FedEx 777, wide body captain. I've got a couple buddies that are flying for FedEx doing that position. $335 an hour. So you're upwards of mid $300,000 a year range. I've got a few friends that really work a lot of overtime, and they're pulling over $400,000 a year as a FedEx captain. All right, guys. So like I mentioned, once you get to the major airlines, there's a set of major airlines called the legacy airlines. You've got Delta, United, American, Southwest, Alaska. You've also got major airlines that are not considered legacies. They're still good jobs. They're still great pay, but there is something to be said about the difference between those two in terms of pay and benefits. So right here, I've got the information. Now, this is all public available information. You can go to airlinepilotcentral.net and look up all this information and see what I'm looking at. So I've got Frontier's pay scale here. As a first officer, Frontier, $59 an hour. This is the most recent contract that they just approved here recently. It's first quarter of 2022. Second year bumps up to $111 an hour. Quite a considerable difference in terms of first officer pay comparison from United or Delta to Frontier. Captain pay at Frontier tops out at $254 an hour. That's $100 an hour difference. So if, let's say, you're working 90 hours a month, $100 an hour, $9,000 difference, that's $100,000 a year less you're making for the same type of flying. $100,000 a year over a 30-year career, you're talking about millions of dollars in difference in pay. All right, guys, so now we're going to talk about corporate flying. So what's corporate flying? There's a wide variety of what corporate flying is. So anything from the big Gulfstream jets, a G650, you've got your Citation 10, anything from a little tiny little Phenom jet with 6 passengers. Some of them you could do turboprop flying. You could fly a Pilatus PC-12. This is off airlinepilotcentral.net again. This is for Netjets. Berkshire Hathaway, Warren Buffett owns the company. So looks like starting pay with that company on the smallest plane that they have, you're going to be at around $80,000 a year. But as you upgrade to captain, it looks like the top pay tops out about $250,000 a year. Not too bad. Now, with corporate flying, you're going to be doing a different schedule than typical airline flying. So with the airlines, what you're going to do is you're going to bid for your schedule for the next month. The airline is going to publish the schedule that you are awarded. You're going to see the entire month ahead of time, usually 2 weeks ahead of time. You can plan your life around that whole month. You're typically going to work as a new pilot. You're probably going to be working about 16, 17 days a month. As you get fairly senior, you're going to work about 14 to 15 days a month. As a wide-body 777 captain, you're probably going to be working about 10 days a month. Corporate airlines, completely different. Corporate airlines, you're going to be working things like 7 days on, 7 days off. The more you work, obviously, the more you make. So with the corporate world, if you have 52 days off a year for Netjets, your top pay is $184,000 a year. If you get 60 days off a year, you're at $194,000 a year. Let's bump you up and you have 76 days off a year. That's when you make your $252,000 a year. Corporate flying is also very different in terms of where you're flying to. So for example, when I did a year of corporate flying, I went to sleep and knowing that tomorrow my schedule was flying from Orange County to Denver. I wake up at 6 a.m. I'm supposed to check in at 9 a.m. When I check my schedule at 6 a.m., I'm no longer going to Denver. I'm going to be going to Scottsdale, Arizona. That's pretty typical. I would get to Scottsdale, Arizona, supposed to sit there for 3 or 4 hours and then head up to Reno, change of plans, no longer doing that. You're going to go up to San Jose. So that type of constant change is pretty typical of corporate. And each and every company is different. You might also be flying for, let's say, Walmart, or you might be flying for Costco. They have their own jets. Nike has their own jets. So those schedules are quite different in the corporate world because there's so many different scenarios. You really have to investigate on your own and see what their quality of life is. With Netjets, it's run very similar to an airline with seniority systems and whatnot. So you have to really do a lot of homework and kind of see. Check out airlinepilotcentral.net and you can see all this info for yourself. All right, guys, so that's a wrap. Thanks for watching the video. If you found the video useful, please click the like button, subscribe to my channel. I do have some other valuable videos I think that would save you a lot of time and money. Hit the subscribe button. It really helps out the channel and the algorithms. And I look forward to your comments in the videos and answering all your comments. Thank you so much.